What is going on, everybody? Welcome to RGTP. I'm your host, Lewis, and with me, as always, is the amazing Mamba. Mamba, how we doing today, my guy?
Stop it. I don't like that. Thanks, man. Nah, I'm chilling. I think that's a good word. Tired.
Of course.
It's been a tired day.
Of course, it be like that. Days be running long. It's like that sometimes. But nonetheless, we are here, back on YouTube, trying to make our comeback, ready to go. As you guys already seen, we're going to talk some NBA. We're going to talk some NFL. And what better place to start than what just happened a few minutes ago? If none of you guys were paying attention to the Woj bombs that are being dropped on our timeline. Jeremy Grant just got shipped off to Portland to go join forces with Damian Lillard. Still ironing out some kinks there. There's a couple second-round picks. There's a couple pick swaps. There's a first-round protection that's getting swapped around. But Mamba, initial reactions, while we're most likely going to find out more after the show when we break it down and go look at it. But Jeremy Grant is a Portland Trailblazer. Wow.
It's a solid fit for him, right? They traded for Larry Nance last year to try and fill that 4 spot, and Larry Nance is solid, but he doesn't really extend the offense, right? He's more in the paint. He's more of a defender. Like, Jeremy Grant's a defender. He is. But Jeremy can give them more offensively than what Larry Nance was going to be able to give them. I like this move more for the Pistons, simply because they don't need to pay him anymore. This is opening up spots for their young guys, and we've seen their young guys. Cade, first overall pick. Sadiq, he's coming to his own. He's still becoming better. You know, they got a lot of young players, and they got the 5th pick in this upcoming draft tomorrow.
Something like that. That.
They don't need Jeremy Grant. It was cool while we got him, gave him his money, let him see what he can do. He proved himself to be a reliable scorer at times, defender when you need him. It's going to fit well with him. It doesn't excite me for Portland. It's a good move. It is, because they didn't really give up anything to get him.
Yep.
But it's positive move, just barely positive, though, if that makes sense.
No, I hear it. And, the offseason's already getting started. We're going to talk about a couple other guys, maybe potential opt-in, opts-out, trade possibilities. There's
Christian
a lot
Wood got traded.
going on. You know what I mean? The offseason
and with Luka, that could be
offseason's already firing up. But before, we jump into what's about to happen all next season, looking at it, we are still have to live in the present right now. The Golden State Warriors were crowned our NBA champions for this season. Shout out to Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and the gang for getting it done this season. It has been a long journey for that team as a whole over the past few seasons. Thoughts on just their ability to get back here, man? They've fought long and hard to get here.
People need to stop putting too much stock into injured teams. Yeah, can we stop that? I understand they had the number 1 pick because they had 15 wins, but was it 2? My bad. Yeah. But it's Curry, greatest shooter of all time. It's Draymond Green, one of the best role players. Can we call him a role player? Because, he is a starter, but his role is – he's not
the ultimate glue guy.
Yeah.
The ultimate teammate, I feel like.
And then Klay Thompson, he isn't what he once was, but he still showed I can drop 30 every once in a while if I need to. Game 6 Klay is still a thing, and – Henny Klay is a different beast, man. Those videos are wild of Klay Thompson. I do like that they proved that Kevin Durant had to come to us to get a ring. We didn't need Kevin Durant to get the ring,
Yeah.
Very nice. Just congrats. Y'all were the best team. I didn't think y'all were the best team. Didn't want y'all to be the best team, but y'all were. And there's a reason, because it's Curry, it's Klay, it's Draymond, and then it's all the pieces they had beside him. Wiggins, all-star starter Wiggins. Maybe we see that continue next season.
We'll see.
Jordan Poole, great scorer. Otto Porter. If he doesn't have another year with the Warriors, he's probably going to get paid some team. Showed he could shoot 3, play some defense when needed. The team as a whole, it's a nice team. It's a championship level team for a reason, right? It's a nice team.
We did see that. Kerr went out on the radio, I believe, yesterday, and said this team's only going to be better. And I think it's true. You're going to gain that championship experience. but there is going to have to be some money to be figured out if you're
Yep.
going to cash in on keeping Wiggins, Jordan
Poole.
Poole. There was some sort
Yep.
of I think it was a 5-year 100 mil or 4-year 100, some
If
wild
they
numbers.
can get him for 100 mil, that's not bad. If they can get him for 100 mil, that's not bad because some team,
Yeah.
a team would be like,
Well, yeah.
we'll give 140 for him
Well,
just because his shooting ability he
just to not
showed.
go way too far off topic, I believe the Knicks are ready to offer Jalen Brunson like a ridiculous amount of money.
Look at
So
that.
we'll have to wait and see. But on to the Warriors, staying on topic. It's going to be interesting, having Poole, Wiggins, and all these guys gaining that experience. Moody, Kuminga, Wiseman, like these guys, that's the sort of the next wave of players for the Golden State Warriors. And it is very good to see the team staying intact. There was a lot of rumors early on, trading, getting an all-star.
Beal, Pascal,
Yeah,
Ben.
no. Then there was this Curry gonna leave to go play with LeBron and all this other stuff that was circulating so early on, and they stayed packed, kept it together, and hey, night to the series. Literally, the season is now over. We're getting ready to plunge into off season as we talked about. Kudos to the Golden State Warriors, Boston Celtics. Hopefully, you guys bounce back strong next year. Take everything you learned. Get ready geared up for this off season. But nonetheless,
no. We can't move yet.
Uh-oh.
I feel so bad for Nico Mannion, man.
Oh,
so
man.
bad for him. Man,
There's a bunch of guys. There's a bunch of guys.
I'm gonna go to Italy.
There's a bunch of guys. Nico Mannion, Kai Bowman, who was there holding it down while everybody was injured. Eric Pascal ended up getting traded to Utah, who was showing flashes for the. There was a lot of guys that were trying their best to hold it down for Golden State. Maybe they should get some sort of an honorary ring.
Nah. That was a couple years ago. This year.
Hey, they held it down the best they could while Curry and Clay and even Draymond, they were trying. They did. But kudos to Golden State. But as I said, the offseason is close. It is here. And sweeping the headlines for the last 2 days is the impasse between Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets. And now Woj reported that it might be some sort of leverage that they could alienate themselves with Kevin Durant and potentially lose not just Kyrie, but Kevin Durant also this offseason. When we look at it, it's been 3 years. They have only been able to win one playoff series. They were swept this year by the Boston Celtics in 4 games. 4 really close, hard-fought games, but the big 3 with Harden didn't work. Brought in Ben Simmons, hoping he could play. Back injury and mental health and everything so on and so forth has pushed him away from the court. Now it looks like after 3 years, is Ben Simmons going to be the lone guy left in Brooklyn after what we thought was going to be the juggernaut of the East for the next, 5 years or so when they first got together?
Yeah, no. If that happens, what? How? How does that even happen? I understand Kyrie. He's different. Like that's the best way to describe it. He's a different person, right? He does things the way he wants to. He doesn't want to conform to stuff. But if you somehow lose Kevin Durant as well, you remember when the Brooklyn fans were so excited with D'Angelo Russell making it to the playoffs, and then like the next year they're like, "Oh my God, we have Kyrie, we have Durant." They're back to when they had no picks, but they had picks.
None of those fans are gonna exist anymore because they only became fans for KD and Kyrie. They're all gonna go jump ship. Either to be Lakers fans or Warriors fans again, because 95% of
KD is not going back to the Warriors.
No. I'm talking about where that fan base is
going to the winners. I got you, bandwagon. I got you.
Hell yeah.
What is a likely landing spot for Kevin Durant though if he was to leave? I think with Kyrie, you immediately think Lakers because of LeBron. I want to see him in Miami with Jimmy Butler. Like. That's what I want to see. I went on 2K after the Heat lost, right? And I tried rebuilding their team. I ruined it. I turned it off when I got to the offseason because I was like, this team ain't about to win shit. Kyrie's too hard to get in that game, man. He wants too much money.
Well,
But if he can get there with Jimmy Butler, Kyrie just seems like the perfect fit. Jimmy showed what he can do in the playoffs. He showed how far he can take them, pushing LeBron in the finals, doing what he just did against the Celtics. He has Kyrie Irving instead of Tyler Hero or Duncan Robinson or Kyle Lowry, that second score for Jimmy when Bam isn't stepping up. Bam can focus defensively, That would just be amazing. Kevin Durant? No clue, bro. Kevin Durant? Maybe he goes back to the Knicks. Or maybe he's like, you know what? I'm actually going to go home this time. And he goes to the Wizards. Who knows, But maybe that's the way to keep Bradley Beal, right? Hey, we're getting you Kevin Durant. Bradley Beal's like, yeah. You got me Kevin Durant.
We'll see. But
what if, because we are about to talk about Bradley, right?
Yep.
Nice. Okay. What if the Nets sign Bradley or trade for Bradley? They have Ben Simmons they can trade,
Oh, God, poor Ben Simmons.
Right, poor Ben Simmons, but good for the Nets, right? Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and then whatever else you can put around them, that's still probably a playoff team.
Hey, I hear it. We're going to start from the top with Kyrie. The thing with Kyrie is there's 36.4 million reasons onto why he should stay with Brooklyn.
Yep.
As Woj and Windhurst have reported, if he does decide to jump ship for the Lakers, he's going to have to sign about a $6.5 million the mid-level exception because that's all they would have to offer him.
That is not happening.
Exactly. Anywhere that Kyrie wants to go to play for a chip by declining this player option, he's going to get essentially the bare minimum, and he's throwing away about $30 million to go to any of these.
Sign and trade, right?
That is the best option.
Well, I mean, that's the best option for the Nets, too.
But exactly, because you want to get something for Kyrie. The thing is, if he does decide to opt out, there's only places like Orlando, maybe Detroit, who just cleared off all this money. No, realistically
Kyrie with Cade Cunningham?
There is nowhere for Kyrie to go where he's going to get this same amount of money.
Yep.
He already lost, I think it was anywhere from $15 to $17 million last year in game checks because he didn't get vaccinated for so long. So he lost half his contract last year. Are you really going to throw away another $30 million when you are Kyrie Irving? And we just talked about he is his own being. I don't even want to say he's a human at this point. He is his own being because we know how he thinks. Yeah. Is he going to be willing to throw away $30 million? Realistically speaking, that is a whole lot of money. You throw on the $15 million from last year.
That is a whole lot of money.
$45 million in 2 seasons just to sort of prove a point. That is a lot of money, and I get it. Like I said, Kyrie is his own being. He is his own human. He has his own brain. He functions differently than a lot of the people in our society. If that's the route he wants to go to prove a statement, then sure, by all means do it. But from a basketball standpoint, I don't know. It is a plunge for Kyrie Irving going from Kevin Durant. You picked the Nets. Not Durant. Durant wanted to go to the Knicks. Yep. Kyrie said, no, we're going to Brooklyn. You picked this team. You picked to go with KD, and you just kind of throw it all away after 3 seasons when you're sort of one of the vocal points, one of the main points that hasn't been working in the 3 seasons. That is a big, big plunge. Kevin Durant, on the other hand, you're stuck there for 4 more years. You signed another extension. Like, you are there regardless. Unless Kawhi Leonard or Paul George or Anthony Davis or Jokic or one of these MVP All-Star, All-NBA caliber players are officially on the trading block for Kevin Durant, you're stuck there with Ben Simmons and whatever, if anything, that you can get for Kyrie if he opts out. That is just, wow, how fast did the Brooklyn Nets sort of fall out of grace? They
fell faster than they did get started, bro. Like, did they even really get started? I don't know,
because the first season they didn't have either one
injuries.
Of them. Yeah, it's wild.
What if this is like a chess move by Kyrie, right? Like,
it's so
we are talking about how he's going to lose out on so much money. This dude has already made so much money. He's going to continue to make so much money. Like, he is set for life. He set up his family for X amount of generations. With how much he's made. he can take that $6 million, go to the Lakers, and then next year be like, well, since I'm a part of your team, you can offer me X amount of money and I'll sign
Not
it
with Russ and
because
Anthony
you have my
Davis in that bitch.
But can't you go over if they're a part of your team? Like if in the contract states like team options, we can extend. Like
I'll tell
it's
you
something
what,
they could probably do.
you're stuck with the same garbage ass bench players you've
Yeah, no,
had
for
all
sure,
season.
for sure. But I don't know if it's crazy to think that Kyrie would decline this. Like he's done so many things in the past. We've been like, no, he's gonna play basketball. He loves ball, but he showed that he's okay with that. Like he wants to play, but he's gonna stand on his morals, you know. And if he doesn't want to be around them, and he doesn't, it's like $36 million. Yeah, that's great. I don't care. I've already made over $100 million in my career, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a lot of money to us, you know, but to him, it could literally be like, I make that in like one sponsorship. I got it.
but here's the thing. Kyrie gives me Kawhi Leonard vibes that as soon as he's done, we ain't going to hear shit from him. There's already talks
He
that
still
Nike
made his
might not
money.
keep him on the payroll to keep his shoes going, so he might have lost all that Nike money. Is Twitch going to be the way he makes all his money when he's done with the league?
Imagine.
Like, let's be honest now. There's only so much money he can make as a Twitch streamer, and it's not even going to come close to being compared to what he can make in the NBA.
You don't know that, man. You really don't know that. The way streaming has gotten so big, there are probably some streamers who make more money than some like medium good players in the league. I can guarantee you that. Like I think Ninja got like a $40 million contract with Mixer.
Yeah, but we're talking about
like,
Kyrie Irving. What is he gonna do? Stream once a month, maybe, and hopefully he
that's
gets
literally
all
all he would need to
like,
do.
come
It's
on.
Kyrie Irving,
Like,
bro. If people see Kyrie Irving streaming, they're gonna tune in. They're gonna be like, "What is he saying?" You know, like the haters. They're gonna be like, "Oh, he's talking about this," or even people who love him be like, "I just want to see what he has to say." You know, people will flock to wherever Kyrie Irving is just to see what he has to say. He won't be able to make, like 40 million in one stream, but over time, and then not having to travel, doing as you please, not having to follow the team. You are your own team. You make your own schedule. Eventually, you might not be making as much as you could have, but you're making enough where it's like, this is actually worth how much I'm making, And him being famous, he's going to get the sponsorships. Everyone's going to be like, this is Kyrie Irving. We can have him just, ad for an Audi on his stream. Here's $1 million. Thanks, Audi.
That's tough. It's just so tough to think about. Like Kyrie went
not an
from
ad for Audi.
The pinnacle of like point guards in the NBA to
he still is.
Yeah, but
he is still
it
that
depends
good.
who you talk to. No, skill wise he is, but
facts.
I don't know if 40 games a year, 30 games a year is sort of justify paying you that
with
much.
The Heat, man. Yeah, they're good enough to get into the playoffs, and then Kyrie and Jimmy can just be like, all right, the playoffs is ours. We got this.
If he decides to leave, it is such a sign and trade scenario.
And
I guess
Kyle Lowry,
there are so
Duncan,
many teams to look at.
Russell Westbrook,
There's so many teams to look at. But speaking of Russell Westbrook, moving onward, we are still waiting. Like I said, we are a week away, I believe. I believe the 29th is the last day for these players to opt in and out. Russell Westbrook is slated to make $47 million. And again, another guy
you ain't got to say slated. He is going to make $47 million because that man is not, just like John Wall, that man is not turning down that money, man. Did you know John Wall averaged 20.6 points per game last season in 40 games?
When he played, he was playing good.
Bro, we were playing 2K, and I saw that, and I was like, 20.6 points in 40 games. This man can get him on a team that he can play for, bro. I know he's making a lot of money, but
they're waiting. Clutch Sports already said they can't figure out a trade during the season. They're gonna try to figure out a buyout and get him up out of there and move him on, and we'll see how it goes. But Russell Westbrook, is there a chance that most likely it feels like he's getting moved yet again? Where to? For what? I don't know, because his value truly decreased. Maybe. Ask OKC for a couple picks and maybe you'll get lucky. Right. But I don't know. Russell Westbrook is another guy that has, for some odd reason, fallen out of grace in many NBA circles this season. with the Los Angeles Lakers was a bit of a fail. I don't know if you
A
can call it.
bit.
I don't know if you can call it a total fail. Anthony Davis health concerns continue
Yeah.
to sort of plague his career right now. Anthony Davis can't seem to stay healthy. Um, Throughout his career, he's been banged up here and there, banged up again with the Lakers. LeBron has age problems, and Russ isn't able to carry the team. But again, it is not all Russ's fault. Like I mentioned earlier,
No, it is not
that
all Russ's
team
fault.
has not had the depth it needed, the bench quality it needed. The role players have been terrible. Just rolling out a bunch of old men at this point. I don't know what is next for this team, but Russell Westbrook is most likely the next scapegoat after they got rid of Vogel. Thoughts on poor Russell Westbrook, man?
GG, bro. You had a good run. Nah, I mean, he can still play, right?
Absolutely.
Obviously, the role that he wants to play in, it's like how Melo was, right? You remember when he went with the Thunder?
Yeah.
And he was starting, and then it was like, okay, we need you to come off the bench. And then he went to Houston, and he started, and then bench, and then, yeah, you can just stay home. We don't need you here. It's cool. And they got traded to the Hawks, and they got released, and then everyone was like, oh, he's out of the league, but he can still somewhat play. And it's like, at times you're like, that's Carmelo, Russell, it seems like it's getting to that point where people are like, yeah, you're good and you can still do things, but how much you're wanting, how much of a role you want, it's not what we want to give you. We need to reduce your role, reduce your cap hit. God dang.
Not if he opts in.
Woo. Right.
No,
it's not happening. He's opting in. He's taking the money because that's a smart thing to do. You take that money. They gave you it for a reason. You take that money, Russell. Yes, you do. But just go out there and give it your all, man. I have faith that you can still somewhat be a good starter. Just calm it down and play some defense, bro. You deer in headlights at times. Like he would just stand there and then he'd be like, I'm supposed to guard that man right there. Oh, my bad. Like he'd just look around. It's like, dude, you exactly paid $47 million. Come on.
Yep. And if the rumors are to be believed, the Pacers already shut it down, trading for him and swapping the Brogdon, and I think it was a Brogdon and someone else, or Brogdon and like a second for Taylor Horton-Tucker, a first, and Russ. Pacers want to know part of that.
You know what? They might get a first out of that, but it is not worth paying $80 million to those two players.
Nope.
Now, I know it's not $80 million, but THT got a ridiculous contract, guys. Come on.
He did. And now, if also reports are to be believed, there is a chance that Charlotte might take the plunge on 1 year of Russell Westbrook just to be able to move off of the Terry Rozier and potentially Gordon Hayward contracts in order to sign LaMelo and Bridges to their deals once those are up, because Miles Bridges is apparently heading towards max money.
Yeah.
We'll see how he plays this season for Miles Bridges. He had an amazing season last year. True most improved candidate last year. We'll see how he does this year, but we'll have to see where Russ lands. It's been really shaky for the man over these last few years, and no one seems to want him.
I mean, did you see him play last year?
Sadly.
If they got Terry and Gordon Hayward, though, if that's offered, the second they hear those two names, if the Lakers are not like immediate, like, yes, we're doing that trade right now.
Well, you're stuck with that Gordon Hayward contract.
I don't care. I do not care. I would rather Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier than Russell Westbrook. I know it's only 1 year.
I don't know. That's sickening. That's a lot of
Gordon
regardless.
can be a nice piece to that Lakers team. Shoot, pass a little bit.
It'll
not
be
getting a lot of defense, but he'd be nice next to LeBron.
It'll be an interesting fit, but I can see why Charlotte might be entertaining it again just to clear up all this money. Before we move on to the NFL talks, we have one more player to talk about, and it seems like every offseason over the last 2 years, his name keeps getting brought up in what's next for Mr. Bradley Beal and the Washington Wizards. There is reports that they are looking to land a veteran point guard. Malcolm Brogdon, yet again, his name has surfaced for a potential trade to land there. They obviously have tried to make some moves, getting rid of they brought in Russ for John
Yep.
Wall, then got rid of Russ for
Yep.
a collection of Kuzma, KCP, and Harrell, who's no longer on the team, and then made a play to land Kristaps Porzingis in place of Spencer Dinwiddie, and we'll kind of have to wait and see.
Bertans.
We'll have to wait and
Yeah.
see. But yet again, Bradley Beal's name circulating yet again. I mean, what is next for Bradley Beal? Because at this point, his name is just going to keep floating around the cycle. What is he going to do? He says he wants to play for a winner, and Washington has not been quite the winning team over the last few years, decade even.
Yep. That man's gonna sign his extension and take his money and be happy.
Again?
Again. Like, that man. Sometimes it is all about the money, right? Like,
right.
He's made so much money already, and he can still make so much more money, and he's still young, right? Like,
yep,
27-ish, 28, maybe 29. Yeah, like he's still pretty young, so he can get this last contract and then ring chase if he wants to. It's the same story every year, so I'm going to believe it's going to be the same result because it's the same story. Man's going to say, yeah, I want to win $250 million. Where do I sign? Right? Like, that's what I would do. Where do I sign for $250 million?
Yep.
Right? And then maybe there will be those rumors where he's disgruntled because he's playing well, but the team isn't. And then he's going to go away for a little bit. And then it's going to be like, oh, he's out because of an injury. And then it's next year. Oh, optimism. It happens every time. Every time it happens. And then it's like, oh, he needs to ask out. Like Damon CJ was the same as John Wall and Bradley Beal. Right? Yep. Like every offseason, it was like, I feel like we've seen the peak. That was always the conversation. We feel like we've seen the peak of those teams. Bradley, you're not getting, you're not getting younger, obviously. But
the West,
if you want to win, if you want to win, you got to say goodbye to the money and go somewhere else. What if the Wizards were like, bro, we're the same with you, like, we're done giving you the money. We're going to take the money. We're going to go somewhere else with it. Why wouldn't the Wizards do that?
Into total rebuild mode.
They need to.
And they want to sort of fulfill Bradley Beal's request.
It sounds
a little crazy. You might have to move him in the division. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Miami. Tyler Hero. You throw Tyler Hero's name in the mix in there, and I think there's potential to get a deal done there. There's not a ton of other, winning cultures that he can really go to that might be willing to take that next step. We've seen Miami try it. Obviously, bringing in Kyle Lowry, that doesn't seem like it might be working out at the moment. There's been rumors that they've been linked to Donovan Mitchell already. So Miami might be one of those teams to take a leap of faith on getting a true all-star guy and maybe moving off. Obviously, Jimmy's prime will be dwindling down soon. Jimmy Butler I think he's in his 30s already. Jimmy's in his 30s.
Yeah, I think he's like 32.
Yeah, Jimmy is not going to be able to carry this team offensively and defensively. Looking at you, PJ Tucker, who's looking he's out of there.
Not re-signing with the Heat. He said,
like, there's a lot going on.
But nah, I'm out.
And then you sort of look at Bam. Bam is sort of an all-star caliber center, but is he going to be able to push himself to the upper echelon of being a top 5 center in the NBA? So that's something to look at. But nonetheless, the free agency is going to be bussing. We will be talking about the draft tomorrow. Check us out. We will be chilling with Thomas on the Goated podcast over on Belly Up. We'll be talking with him somewhere in the second round of the draft. We'll be sort of recapping and talking about some of the things that happened in the first round. That's always
maybe some trades,
some shocking shit gonna go down. Make sure to check us out. I will make sure to share that Goated podcast with Thomas. Is gonna be awesome over on the Belly Up Network. But nonetheless, we're gonna talk some football, and as it said, we're gonna talk QB hot seats. And this isn't just, is he gonna go? Is losing his starting job? No. This hot seat represents a multiple of different guys. Some of these guys potentially losing out on their job maybe midway through the season, maybe next season. This might be the last opportunity for some of these guys. Some of these guys we're going to talk about because they are sort of have to prove that they were the missing piece for their team. And some of these guys are just in contract disputes. So, nonetheless, let's get it started with the guy that I think is the safest. I think he's all right. Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. We're currently still waiting to hear what his contract's going to be like. Former MVP. They were the number 1 seed at 8-3 before he went down last season. I think a deal will get done. From a scale of 1 through 5, as we discussed before, I got him at a 1. I think Lamar is the safest of all these quarterbacks that we're going to discuss in the next few minutes. I have no fear for Lamar. I think they're going to get this deal done. I think the losing Hollywood Brown isn't going to be that big of a deal. This is a run-heavy team anyways. Rashad Bateman, I've loved and spewed about on this podcast for over a year. And obviously still have Mark Andrews. They were able to make the running back situation work. Their secondary is healthy, added Kyle Hamilton. I have no fears in Lamar Jackson losing the job, not getting his money, whatever it may be. I think Lamar's future in Baltimore is safe and secure.
I agree with you. However, I put him at a 2.
A little bit more.
I do not believe he's the safest on the list that you had sent me. Simply because of the contract, right? And I'm just going to jump in with the next one as well because it's the same way. Kyler Murray, I have him at a 2. I put Lamar and Kyler because it's like, yes, they should be signed. They need to be signed by the Cardinals and the Ravens. But what if not? What if not? They're like, yo, you're asking too much or you want too much and this isn't. And they go into the year and they don't have a deal done. And then they're like, I'm not playing. Like what Deshaun did with the Texans. I'm not playing. You don't think a team's going to be like, hey, yo, Ravens will give you blah, blah, blah for this to get Lamar. And then it's like, well, it don't sound like he wants to negotiate with us right now. Negotiate with them, and then that team's going to be like, they were so stupid. Here's your $300 million, whatever. Right. And then same thing with Kyler. That man has shown his ability to throw even with him being a little short, his ability to move around, get away from people. Yeah, he's had some troubles. His team hasn't always been the best, but what do you expect? He went to the Cardinals. My bad, Cardinals fans. So I have both of them at a 2 simply because we don't know about the contracts. We've seen Mahomes, Allen get signed, right? But then we saw Deshaun not get, he got traded and then he got his contract there.
Yep.
That's simply why I put them at a 2. So they're safe, but like maybe. I almost put them at a 3.
Hey, I respect it. Speaking of Kyler, as he is the second quarterback we're going to talk about, I'm actually going to turn up the heat just one notch on Kyler. I actually think he's down up to a 3.
Okay.
I think Kyler is right in the middle. It does have something to do with the fact that Cliff Kingsbury is his coach. Over the last 9 seasons, his team has a losing record at the second half of the season. 9 seasons. That goes back to college, my guys. He always seems to melt down as a coach. I don't know if he can't adapt to the second half of the season, as these coaches in the NFL and in college were able to adapt to his game.
Yeah.
But Cliff Kingsbury has sort of fallen off every second half of every season that he's been coaching for the last 9 years. Losing D-Hop is
so
going
bad.
to be – it is horrible. It is horrible. I believe he is 9-19 in his 3 NFL seasons as a head coach during the second half. Always falls apart. D-Hop injured down the stretch last season. We saw the way it affected Kyler. Now he's going to miss 6 games. They're trying to replace him with Hollywood Brown, but there is other pieces. Losing Chase Edmonds in the backfield, losing Christian Kirk to a ridiculous bag to Jacksonville, and then 6 games of no D-Hop is going to be
There's
critical.
Optimism around Kirk in Jacksonville, okay? I saw it on the news.
We'll see.
The news never lies to us.
And then obviously losing Chandler Jones on the defensive side of the ball, losing arguably your best defensive player. I do like Budda Baker a whole lot in that secondary, but it is going to be tough because we saw him sort of take a back seat in that playoff game. He wasn't willing to scramble out the pocket and run. He has been, on the smaller side of quarterbacks, has some of the most electric, probably the fastest feet and legs.
That
Lamar is
man
probably
be
the
moving,
fastest.
bro.
Lamar is probably the fastest quarterback in the NFL. But if you just looked at the legs, Kyler looks like the fastest human being on the face
that
of the
man
planet.
be Flintstoning it out there,
And he just shut it down in the playoff
Yep.
game against the Rams. And obviously filled it out down the stretch. 7-0 start last year. A lot of it
Yep.
does rely, obviously, goes back on the quarterback. There is leadership questions about Kyler now. I think he is at about a 3. I'd put him sort of dead set in the middle.
Yep.
He is going to have to prove a lot. If he does get that bag, prove that you were worth it. And if he doesn't, you're going to have to prove that you're going to have to earn it.
Yeah.
So I would have
prove
him
that
at
you're
3.
worth it on the Saints, man. We will gladly take you.
I would put him at a 3. The next quarterback on the list that was sort of sprung into my mind kind of late. Number 1 seeded AFC champions, Ryan Tannehill. Man, I will give it to him. He did it a lot without Derrick Henry. Julio Jones was not quite there. A.J. Brown missed quite a bit of time. And they dealt with the most injuries out of anyone else in the NFL. I believe they rostered like 80-something, 90-something players last year. They were just.
I think the Saints might be competing with them on that, to be honest. We might want to look into that one.
Decimated teams last year and still managed to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. But 3 interceptions, fizzled out to the Bengals.
9 sacks.
Even though they were able to sack the man 9 times. So
9 sacks. Dude.
Not just that, though. Not just what sort of is the last impression in a lot of people's mind for Ryan Tannehill of the just disgusting playoff game he's played. He also lost 2 years ago to Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. So not the greatest playoff record over the last 2 seasons. And then there is a kid from Liberty that just walked in them doors that a lot of people had as the number 1 wide receiver in this draft. Malik Willis is sitting back there taking snaps, most likely through the majority of the preseason. We will see how he transitions, but I'm stuck between a 3 and a 4. Honestly, I think there is a lot of heat on Ryan Tannehill this year. I think we've seen where he is. I believe he is 33 years old. Also, we kind of seen the ceiling with him on this Tennessee Titans team. No AJ Brown now. He's gonna.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. But they got Robert Woods
coming off of an injury, so we'll see. And then
got Henry coming back.
Yes, but is Treylon Burks going to be sort of that number 1 receiver? I mean, there's a lot of questions in Tennessee. Obviously, we saw Matt Ryan get shipped up to Indianapolis. We know Houston is going to run it back with Davis Mills. We would assume Urban Meyer being out of there, with Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence, bringing in a whole lot of pieces over the last 2 free agencies to sort of bolster this roster. Obviously, bringing on Trayvon Walker as the number 1 pick for this season on the defensive side of the ball. I think a lot of pressure is on Ryan Tannehill, and I would put him at 3.5, I guess, because I haven't been between a 3 and a 4. Let me know why you think it's a borderline 5. You got 4 fingers up, man.
I put 4 simply because they drafted Malik Willis, right? Simply because we have seen what I believe to be the peak of Ryan Tannehill. That man has proved I can get us to the playoffs, but it's tough once we hit the playoffs, I wouldn't mind him being the backup to Malik Willis. So not off the team, but backing Malik up would probably be like his best fit because of the Tannehills. Wow. What was the Titans? My bad, Titans. He has showed the ability to get you to the playoffs. If Malik Willis shows that ability as well, it's not bad having the backup be able to do it too, and he's run the scheme. He knows what you do. He knows where to go. Everything about that organization he knows, right? He's willing to be the backup. That's great. But if not, adios, because I think Malik is taking that job from him.
Yeah, I lean more towards potentially next year. I think they're going to just ride it out.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure, next year.
But the seed is hot. If he's not able to, like we've seen, if he can't win this division, it's going to be hard as hell to get in the playoffs.
If they don't make it back to the playoffs either,
That's what I mean. If he's going to have to win this division to be a sure lock in the playoffs, because everyone else around the AFC has bolstered up so much. it is going to be crazy to see. Everyone's made big plays on both sides of the ball. There's been big defensive acquisitions. One of the ones that flies under the radar a lot is Stephon Gilmore is an Indianapolis Colt, guys. We tend to forget a lot about that. But there is a whole lot of moves that have been made, and I think it's going to be critical to see where he stands. If he's not able to get them back to the playoffs, it might be the end. And if he is, but can't win a playoff game, I think we're on the same track again. Bouncing essentially your first playoff game 3 years in a row, it's not going to be looking good for my man Tannehill.
Watch out for them Jaguars in that division, man.
Hey,
game changers right there.
Urban Myers ain't around no more. We'll have
That's
to see
true.
what happens. From one AFC quarterback to another, Tua Tagovailoa is on a hot seat. Not the hottest on the list for me yet. Not there yet, but he is at a 4. I think this is it for Tua. It's going to come down to this season right here. You brought in Jalen Waddle. You kept Mike Gesicki, who's emerging as one of the better tight ends in the league. And you got arguably the fastest and best downfield threat in the entire NFL in Tyreek Hill. And we know what that defense has been, arguably one of the best corners in Xavier Howard over the last few seasons.
Byron Jones.
That defense has been stellar over the last 2 seasons. 2 is at a 4 for me. There's not many excuses left right now. He is kind of like Kyler on the smaller side, but a lot more injury prone. Missed time last year. Rookie season flip-flopping between him and Fitzpatrick wasn't very good. But sort of solidifying him as your number 1 starter, there's not a lot of excuses left. The running backs, we've been talking about for weeks now. Like, there is no excuse on the running game sort of being somewhat good. Raheem Mostert, bringing in Chase Edmonds.
Sony Michel, the people who were already there.
It is. I don't know what is. They've gotten a lot for him at this point.
Picks up the line a little bit.
Exactly my point. Like, where does Tua stand for you on the scale 1 through 5? I'm at a 4. Not the hottest of the hot seats yet, but if they start the season 2-3, 2-4. Hell, even 3-3, there I think the eyes are going to be starting to look at Tua, considering we know the potential of what's coming out next year's draft.
Not happening. I put him at a 3. A 3 closer to 4 than a 3 closer to 2. It's just been so unfair to this kid, right? He's been starter. You're a relief pitcher. You're the starting pitcher, but we take you out after the first. You don't play, but then you do play, and then you don't play, and then you do play, and then you do play, and you don't,
and then you're injured and can't play.
Yeah, but still play. Right. There's been so many downs with Tua's career. Like, there hasn't been many ups, right?
Yes. Good point.
If he shows some potential, even if it's a losing season again, if he can show, like, I can run this offense, this was my first year in this offense, I understand now what I need to do to an extent, because people learn different every time, you know?
Yep.
I think he'll be okay. They don't need to just immediately be like, oh, God, we suck, get rid of him. We need the number 1 overall pick, so we get kid from Ohio State, kid from Bama, whoever, right? It's okay. Just give Tua a chance, please. And that's why I put him at a 3.
Fair enough. I mean, it's going to be a lot, like you said, Bryce Young might be coming up.
Yeah.
We'll have to see what Caleb Williams looks like.
Imagine getting replaced by another Alabama quarterback.
Hey, man, there's just so much that's going to be going on. It's going to be interesting to talk about our last AFC quarterback before we transition to almost an entire division. Russell Wilson. And I know a lot of people are probably thinking, why is Russell Wilson on this list? I'll tell you why. I have him at a 3. I think this is. I think you
need to take this test, sir.
No,
what are you smoking?
Russell Wilson
is the safest quarterback on this list.
He is the safest. Obviously, he got there. But that doesn't mean the seat ain't going to be getting toasted up, because for the last 2 seasons, maybe even 3 seasons, all we hear about is the Denver Broncos are 1 quarterback away.
They're a
quarterback away. They're a quarterback away. What the hell happens if he joins and they go 7-10? What the hell happens if he joins and they're 9-8? What the hell happens if they just don't make the playoffs? Because that division is going to be
then
loaded. Let's be honest. All we hear about is let Russ cook. And we've seen let Russ cook. It goes good, but Russ also tends to burn the food a bit when it is time to let Russ
just a
cook.
little bit, yeah.
And at this point, he has no excuses. He has an absolute stud of a running back on the come up in Javonte Williams. 3 legitimate wide receivers: Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, I would like 2 of those 3.
Absolutely loaded defensive side of the ball. Bringing in Randy Gregory, signing who was they grabbed last year? Patrick Surtain.
Yep.
This defense is loaded from literally defensive line to the secondary. I see you back there, Simmons. Don't worry, I ain't forget about you. This team is absolutely loaded, and all we hear about is one quarterback away.
They got their quarterback.
This team is going to be a little bit toasty. I get it.
For sure.
Super Bowl champion and stuff like that. But in that division where everyone in that division is loaded up. Yep. Even though Tyreek Hill left, I think we both agree that we like more so what Kansas City's done this year than in previous years. I think we can both agree we like Marquez Valdez-Scantling. We like Juju. We like Sky Moore. Justin Ross got added. They lost Tyreek, but the 4 guys that they brought in I don't think they're going to be hurting too bad. So I have Russ at a 3. He's in the middle. I don't think he can just go in this season and coast and be like, I'm fine.
Nah.
But I also don't think it's going to be, all hell will break loose if he plays horrible. I think he's somewhere in the middle. I do believe he's going to have some pressure. Again, all we hear about in Denver is a quarterback away. And you just said it. They
Respectfully,
got
you're wrong.
Go ahead, man. Tell me why. Tell me why.
It's simply because that man got traded there, right? Like
he picked this team. Also,
he did. He did. He
can't fizzle out.
Yeah. It's Russell Wilson, bro. We've seen what he's been able to do with no O-line. The O-line's solid in Denver. I understand it's a loaded AFC team, AFC division, conference, everything. Yeah.
Yes. Well, the conference in general is crazy.
But he joined a stacked team that was a quarterback away.
Exactly why he can't fuck this up.
No, he can't, and I don't think he will. Like, if he has to, he will game manage, right? Like, he can get out of the pocket. He can sling it down. He can improvise. He can break his finger on a helmet. It sucks. It sucks. Right. It happens.
Hey, I fucked up my fantasy league.
Yeah.
In one of my 5 leagues. Fucked me up.
But it's Russell Wilson, bro. He got traded there. There's no way. How many years he got on this contract?
I have no idea.
However many years he has on that contract, that's how many years he's going to be the quarterback of the Denver Broncos.
For sure.
Put it that way.
So do you have him at a 1?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure, a 1.
The safest for you.
Yeah, even if they suck, he's still going to be on that team.
Of course. It's going to be spicy. But like I said, that was the last AFC quarterback before we move on to almost an entirety of a division. I'm looking at you, NFC East.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about 3 of the 4. Not going to talk about you, Dak. You're coming off of an injury. We'll see how everything looks. We'll talk about the Cowboys at a later.
He's a 1, though. If we were, he's a 1.
Yeah, he just signed a ridiculous bag. But we will be talking about the Dallas Cowboys at some point down the line.
No, we won't. Don't lie to them.
Of course, we have to talk about America's team. We got to talk about the Cowboys.
Nah.
When they're up high, we'll talk about them, and when they're down low, we're going to talk about them.
So the Giants, right?
But
who's their quarterback again?
Nonetheless, we shall start with the Giants and Sir Daniel Jones. You're at a 5 for me, man. This is the hottest of hot seats. Bringing in Daboll, trying to redo this team. They try to fix this offensive line for him a bit. He has had a lot of weapons over the last 2 seasons getting added on. They brought in Toby. They brought in Galladay. But they've also had Sterling Shepard was already there. They also had Darius Slayton there. Like, they have a bunch of wide receivers. They brought in
had some okay
Evan
pieces.
Ingram, Saquon Barkley. Like, there is a lot of different offensive pieces, and they've even tried to get him the coach to help him take that next step. But kind of like Tua, we kind of more or less know what we're getting in the next year's quarterback draft. And even in 2 years from now, we'll see, because there's always someone that comes along the way and shocks everybody.
Yep.
The New York Giants are sick and tired of we've called them
sucking.
exactly.
They
like
suck.
Daniel
Don't need
Jones.
to sugarcoat it.
This is it for you in New York.
Yep.
Can you fit somewhere else? There's a
Potentially.
chance.
Yep.
There's a chance. But in terms of your time in the New York media circle, it is dwindling down, and this season might be it. I think whether he sucks or doesn't suck, there's not much. But you're not gonna fucking turn back to Mike Glennon. We're just not. It's not gonna happen. Unless somehow, some way, Baker lands over there. There is not
saying.
Your quarterback.
I've said it multiple times. Man.
Is
I know,
not
you know.
there to take over for the guy.
Yep.
So it's make or break for Daniel Jones. If he's able to take the leap, kudos to him. Most likely not. Daniel Jones is a 5 for me. He's a 5 for you. But tell me why he's a 5 for you, man.
Only way he keeps his job is if they make the playoffs. That is the only way he keeps his job. Not even a winning record, and they don't make the playoffs. He has to make the playoffs, right?
Not even if he shows a little bit of improvement, do you think he's safe?
No, sir. I feel like at this point every year we're like, okay, I see what we could potentially get from him, and then it never takes that leap, right? It just continues. It just continues to. He has those games where he rushes for 100 and a touchdown and throws for 200, 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, like he has solid games. He just has not been able to put the consistency together. You know, that team as a whole has not been consistent. They fight each other, right? And I feel like we heard that a couple times out of the Giants when Judge was their coach, that they were fighting each other, and probably not going to win if the team is fighting each other, maybe, maybe not playing as a team. I don't think he'll be done. Like, somebody will sign him.
Someone take a chance.
Say Tom Brady goes another year. Daniel Jones to back him up, learning a year from Tom. If he can go to Matt Ryan,
shout out to Tom Brady. Everyone's just waiting for you to get the fuck out of town.
Yeah, pretty much. Maybe he goes to Green Bay and there's competition with Jordan Love to learn from Aaron Rodgers, or maybe he goes and backs up Russell Wilson. Or
why can't he go to your Saints? You guys have quarterback problems.
We don't have a mentor for him, Lewis. Okay, we don't.
I got Jameis eating dubs, man.
Jameis needs to worry about those dubs, okay? But I say mentor, but he just needs a place where he can go and learn an actual system, learn a competent organization, because the Giants had some good picks this year, but that's this year. They've not done anything the past,
Yeah.
Poor Daniel Jones, because there is a little potential there.
There's flashes,
but
there.
It's just it's not ever been able to be captured.
Yeah, I hear it. The next quarterback. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Mr. Carson Wentz. I'm sorry and it doesn't help that Dan Snyder skipped out on this motherfucking hearing earlier today, and now he's getting subpoenaed. You guys might not even keep Torrey McLaurin around. It looks like you guys are going to keep Terry. We'll see how that goes. But Wentz, I don't know if anyone takes a shot on you after this season. He has out of 5 for me due to the fact that they still have little Taylor Heineke back there, who this team loves. The guys in the locker room love him. He might not be the greatest player on the team, not the best quarterback in that division. He might not even be the best backup in that division. You know what I mean? But the team loves him. The guys in the locker room love him. He was able to sort of step up and do everything he could in that Tampa Bay game a few years ago in the playoffs. He had him there. It got scary for a little while.
Yeah, almost. What could have been?
You know what I mean? Having Heineke sort of sitting there, and shout out to him. He did come out and say, I think last week, he's okay with being a backup. They obviously brought in Carson Wentz for a reason. They're paying him this money. Like, there's a reason that he's here, and he's okay with being a backup. You can't hate on that. But Wentz fizzled out in Philly, fizzled out horribly down the stretch against Indianapolis. Dude, this kind of a lot like Daniel Jones. I think someone will take a flyer on him next season, maybe even potentially in a backup role, which probably be best for both of those guys, sort of getting those shaky bugs out. turnover prone, sort of loose cannon kind of guys. But this is it for Carson Wentz, man. I don't know what's left for him. They drafted a wide receiver in the first round in Dotson. We'll see. We will see. We know what the defense is like. We know what it can be, like. Especially when it's all healthy. They had a slow start
and not
last
fighting
year.
each other.
But
do you remember that when the Durant Payne and the other D tackle almost broke out in a fight?
Yeah,
that was mad funny.
This is it, Carson Wentz. You might be looking at a backup role from here on out, maybe even midway through the season if they decide, fuck it, we're gonna roll out with Heineke because we know he can win us some games.
Right. I have him at like a 4.5, to be honest. I do get the whole this is a rental. It really does seem like a rental job.
Kind of expensive rental.
Yes. What rental isn't expensive? Have you seen the housing market, bro? It's side. It's side. We don't need to talk about that. I think if they have a winning record, though, and they're not in the hunt for one of the top 3, maybe 4 quarterbacks in this upcoming draft, because I think this quarterback class coming up, people are more excited about it. You got the top 2, and then there's maybe with this quarterback, he can become this, or maybe with this, if they can't get one of those top 3, maybe 4 quarterbacks, it wouldn't surprise me if they were like, we'll get one more year with Carson Wentz because we don't know what we're doing,
True.
It wouldn't surprise me if he stayed as the Commanders quarterback, and it wouldn't surprise me if they were like, get the hell on the bench, bro. What are you doing? He's so up and down. He plays great at times, and then you're like, are you the same person? Did you get switched out? What's happening here, 4.5. I'll say 4.5.
MVP frontrunner at for that Super Bowl run.
Super Bowl champion. Right. Shout out Nick Foles.
It's just crazy to think about. But nonetheless, we're down to our final quarterback of the 8 that we're going to discuss today on the hot seat. And it is none other than the Eagles. Jalen Hurts, who replaced Carson Wentz down the stretch 2 years ago. Last year was able to lead the Eagles to the playoffs after a very shaky season. Started off okay, then went really down south, and then they truly picked up the running game, started clicking on all cylinders. But another team that over the last few seasons, kind of like Tua, kind of like Tua. They're doing everything possible to draft guys and sign guys, bringing in Devontae Smith, who everybody was super in love with during the preseason. I'm expecting a better jump from him this season because they acquisition of A.J. Brown should take a lot of attention away. They got him a legitimate number 1 wide receiver in A.J. Brown, has a very nice number 2 in Devontae Smith. And how can we forget? Dallas Goedert is a very nice tight end in the NFL.
The O-line's top good.
5, a very solid offensive line. Adding James Bradbury to the secondary to go along with Darius Slay.
Got Jaquiski Tart. I probably said his name wrong.
Tart, yes.
The dude from San Fran.
We'll see how that goes. Obviously, still have Quez Watkins there. I know there's another guy that I am forgetting who made some pretty big plays down the stretch for the Eagles. But nonetheless, the running game came along strong. Hurts, I have you as at a 4. One of the reasons is you have a lot now. The run game, I think, is solidified. You have 3 legitimate pass catchers, like I said, Brown, Smith, and Dallas Goedert. Your defense did get a bit of an improvement. But you know what's going to be lurking in the back of the front office's mind? The fact that they have 2, not 1, but 2 first-round picks coming up in a pretty interesting quarterback draft with who's not going to want to trade around and move around, potentially grabbing. I'm looking at you. San Francisco made a massive play and mortgaged off the future to grab Trey Lance. And they had a quarterback that brought them to the Super Bowl already in Jimmy Garoppolo. So I'm looking at not really just Hurts potentially fizzling out, but the front office just being like, hey, it's another 9-8 season. Exit in the first round. Fuck it. We're going to trade up and we're going to take Bryce Young. I absolutely can see it happening. There is very little excuses left to Jalen Hurts right now. There's obviously a big accuracy problem with him right now, some accuracy issues. Intangible wise, locker room guy, locker room leader, an absolute outstanding human being through and through. That is not in question. But when it comes down to on field and being a quarterback, that is sort of where the questions start to arise for him. I got him at a 4. You are not so. You don't think the seat is so hot? Tell me why.
I think it's the hottest seat there is because his backup is Gardner Minshew. No, I'm kidding. Gardner's great. No disrespect. I like Gardner. I voiced my opinion on Gardner many times. I had him at a 3 simply because he showed what he can do down the stretch last year. Got him into the playoffs, But you hit it right on the head. Those two picks mean everything because if he shows, hey, I am the guy, they can take those 2 picks and get whatever the hell they want. Right?
If they're a playoff team and can win a playoff game with him, those 2 picks, holy hell.
Yeah, they would be some of the most valuable pieces in the NFL if they're that good and they have those pieces. However, the quarterbacks in the draft, as people believe, they're going to be that good. And if they're going to be that good, how do you pass on one of them if you have the ammo, If you suck and you already have a top pick, that's good because then you'll have to trade less to get up to the 1, right? If you're good, like mediocre, 500, a game below 500, maybe a game above 500, right? You're going to have to get those 2 picks and then maybe another first to get up to that first overall pick, right? But I think Jalen Hurts has this secured. I really do believe in Jalen Hurts as the Eagles quarterback. He can run when need be. He struggles with accuracy, but Josh Allen used to struggle with accuracy, and we see what he does now. It's quarterbacks can become more accurate. Jalen Hurts feels like a guy who might have something that you can't teach. Like you said, he's a leader. You can go to someone and be like, this is your team. They might not take that as they might just take it like, cool, my team. Jalen Hurts is like, this is my team. If I suck, I look bad. My team looks bad. I don't want to make my team look bad. My team's great because the team does look great on paper. I think Jalen Hurts has this locked up for them.
Yeah, I can agree. I like Jalen Hurts. I think we're both on sort of the Jalen Hurts side. I know there's been a lot of reports that not everybody's in love with him, but I think we can see.
Some people believe the coach ain't even in love with him, and it's like, bro, that's your starting quarterback. At least love him a little bit. Dang.
Hey, that is another thing. Had to see how Nick Sirianni does in year 2 together in that system, but we'll see. I am all for it, Jalen Hurts. It's going to be big. It is going to be a big year. Like we said, Dallas might have regressed a little bit, losing a lot of players, not gaining a ton of players. It might be the year for the Eagles to make another run.
Eagles, fly.
Eagles, fly. But that's going to do it for us. Make sure to tune in tomorrow. We will be sharing on our Twitter. We're going to be hanging out with Thomas, talking NBA draft, and then come back here on Friday when we're going to geek out about whatever the hell is going to get announced for Forbidden Door AEW tonight. There is 4 more matches being added.
Damn. How many does that bring us up to? Do you know?
Don't ask me. Okay. AEW says, fuck it. We're going to run till midnight. I don't give a fuck. Yep. Thank you, Tony Khan. I'm with it. Nonetheless, that will happen. We have more Money in the Bank qualifiers. Obviously, Omos qualified on Monday. We will have more. We'll figure out what qualifiers happen on Friday, but there's a whole lot. And we're going to be talking about the return of John Cena coming next Monday. It's going to be some interesting stuff. Mom, but let the folks know what they got to do.
Like, comment, share, subscribe, notifications on, and you can't see us. Our time is now.
Have a good